So I just got done watching Ráðherrann, or The Minister, which to my knowledge is Iceland's very first serious political drama. So of course, obviously I had to watch it, and so I just want to give it a brief review. So the story revolves around Benedikt Ríkharðsson, who is a fictional chairman of the Independence Party who becomes Prime Minister while slowly losing his grip on reality and ultimately becoming completely insane, and his co-workers and family have to decide whether or not they want to try to keep his illness secret from the world or try to get him some help, and thus, exposing the whole thing. Now, there are of course going to be a few spoilers in the rest of the video, so if you are, that kind of person that just cannot watch anything if there's even the tiniest hint of a spoiler, then first of all I feel bad for you, but secondly, I'm just going to tell you right now what I think of the show in general before I go in deeper. Overall, I like the show. It's not great. It may be rated at a 6 or 7 out of 10, so yeah, it's good, fine entertainment, and very interesting, being that it is an Icelandic political drama, but aside from that, it's nothing masterful. First, I'm just going to go over some of the few negatives that I found in the show, and then I'm going to go list all the things that I thought were positive. And there are going to be even way more positives than negatives, but starting with the negatives, first thing, there's a scene in the first episode that I just can't get over how stupid it was. So basically, once the title character Benedikt, starts to reinvent himself as this new populist liberal new hope for his party, he angers a lot of the party establishment, and they naturally start to plot ways in order to stab him in the back and get him kicked out of the party. Now, I don't have a problem with that. That's quite plausible, I suppose. But there's one scene where some older gentleman that have the establishment incarnate, when they're at the gym and they're discussing he's gonna ruin the party forever. We need to get rid of him somehow. I agree. We need to get rid of him somehow. But how? Can we somehow get him kicked out of the party even though he is the chairman? Oh yeah, and they're saying these things and while they're at the gym with tons of people all around them. There could be somebody standing a few meters away from them guys, I can hear you're plotting over there. So yeah, that was pretty stupid. Evil, conniving, plotting politicians are usually a bit more subtle. They could go anywhere and meet in private, but they wouldn't discuss these things while at the gym. Another tiny detail that really bugged me throughout the whole show was the use of party pins, or lack thereof. Now, all the political parties portrayed in the show are the real-life counterparts of existing political parties in Iceland, which it's much better than just inventing some new ones just for the sake of drama or whatever, so it's very grounded in reality in that sense. But I did not see a single politician or character in this show ever wear a party pin. Have you ever seen an Icelandic politician? These people don't take a shower without having a party pin on. And don't tell me that the prop department just was unable to find any. See? These are not hard to track down. Oh yeah, one more complaint is the final episode. I like the way it ends. I think it ends somewhat conclusively, but the episode itself was just kind of a drag. It didn't feel like that much more happened. It's just Benedikt is in the hospital and he has to come to terms with his illness. So does everyone else. That's it, Oh yeah, and then there's one more thing. In the first episode also there is... so the show begins with there being an election, and so all the party leaders are gathered in a television hall, having a debate, and there are 5 party leaders there from 5 different parties. Yeah, by the way, the show was written in 2015-16, back when Viðreisn and Miðflokkurinn did not exist yet, so it makes sense that they only had 5 or 6 parties. But yeah, but then, later on when they show the actual election results, then you have 6 parties. So yeah, apparently when they were filming the scene with the 5 party leaders, there was nobody there representing the left Greens. And you know, it doesn't bother me that the person from the left Greens didn't have any scenes or whatever, but come on, couldn't you just get some guy in a suit just standing there pretending to be a part of the debate? I mean, if you're gonna end up with representing 6 parties clearly in the election result, so yeah, that was a bit of a gaffe. Other than that, everything else about the show I actually really like. First of all, Ólafur Darri Ólafsson absolutely steals the show with his portrayal of Benedict, the Prime Minister. He is definitely one of Iceland's greatest actors right now. According to what I read, all the characters, you know, the political people, the politicians, they were all like not based on any real people but made up entirely. But I still think that when you look at the way how Ólafur portrays Benedict, I think there is a little hint of Sigmundur Davíð Gunnlaugsson in there, just, you know, in the mannerisms, which I think was, if that was the intended idea, or I think that's an excellent choice, absolutely great choice, because Sigmundur Davíð, as much as I don't like the guy, you know, he has a lot of, you know, oomph, you know, just as a person, like, you know, when you meet him and talk to him, you're like, oh yeah, this guy's a politician, of course he is. I mean, so yeah, I'd say that the way Ólafur portrays his character is a little bit based on Sigmundur Davíð, perhaps with just a little hint of Jón Baldvin Hannibalsson as well. So yeah, and he really portrays it seriously, as you know, even before he starts to go completely insane, you can sort of see him as a character, a person that was meant for politics. And also as he starts to lose his mind, he manages to be both at the same time absolutely hilarious and also kind of scary. So he portrays that very well. All the other actors I thought were great. Nobody stuck out though particularly, except maybe Siggi Sigurjóns, right, who portrayed Benedict's father. But I gotta say, probably my favorite role was the party vice chairman Grímur, portrayed by Thor Kristjánsson, I think his name is, Kristinsson. He was the main character in Svartur á leik, which is another Icelandic movie that I highly recommend. Yeah, I thought Grímur was, in my mind, just the most interesting character. Like, he is such a conniving, scheming politician that, you know, he doesn't even really hide just how much of a schemer he is. He's just like, it's like, look, I can help you depose our chairman, but then of course you have to support me to become the next chairman. I don't really mind. My position is great right now. I can support the chairman, or you can support me. Your choice. But he also has a more vulnerable side to him, because in the first episode, yeah, minor spoiler, he cheats on his wife, and you can tell later on, you know, when he comes to visit, and you know how much he misses his son and everything. You can tell he is generally haunted by the mistakes he made, but he's also driven to become, well, the next prime minister, obviously. So I thought you know, every scene that he was in, just, you know, he just also he has a very in the show, he just portrayed as having just a very quiet, thoughtful persona, and I just loved every minute that he was on screen. Like I said before, the tone of the show is overall mostly serious, with a little bit of humor sprinkled in here and there, some jokes. I would have preferred if the show was maybe 10% less serious and 20% more humorous, because I thought there were some missed opportunities of humor in a lot of these scenarios, but I guess they wanted to portray them more seriously. My favorite scene in the entire show was undoubtedly, so I think in the 3rd episode or whatever, there is a, so due to some weird sequence of events, Prime Minister Benedict finds himself hitchhiking at some country road, and 3 teenagers pick him up, and you know, they of course recognize him, and he offers to take them out for lunch. And, you know, he's just sitting there having a chat with them, having a nice lunch in Akureyri, and then a young waitress comes over, and so one of the teens recognizes the waitress, and Benedict can tell that the guy clearly has a crush on her, so he, you know, once he's gone, once she is gone, he asks, so, what, is there something between you two? And he's like, nah, you know, man, I just don't know how to approach her. And Benedict says I don't know what he says, something about, oh man, you need confidence to, you know, to get a girl or some shit like that. And then he calls the waitress over again and he asks, so, when does your shift end? And she's like, 9 o'clock. Oh, how convenient. See, my friend David over here, he is going to the movies at 10 o'clock, but he has nobody to go with him. Would you like to go with him? And she's like, yeah, sure. Like, imagine having the Prime Minister of Iceland as your wingman. That would be so awesome. I love that. Já, halló Katrín, Jóhann Arin Bjarnarsson hér. Ég var að spá, ég gæti vel hugsað mér að kjósa VG í næstu kosningum ef að þú gætir hjálpað mér með, veist, þetta er bara smáræði, sko, það er þetta stelpa sem ég er að vinna með, sko, og, þú veist, svona, pínu feiminn bara, ef að þú gætir kannski svona, komið einhver í kring, þannig að hún og ég myndum enda að fara út Halló? Katrín? Allt í lagi, ég bara kýsa framsókn eins og ég hef alltaf gert. Another thing that I absolutely love about this show was the cinematography. Like, the show looks beautiful. A lot of it was filmed either on location, like there are some scenes that are clear, where they clearly did in or around Parliament and stuff like that, or they recreated it, stuff like that. A lot of very cool drone shots, so, you know, the show looks absolutely perfect. Nothing there that I can critique, really. I thought that in the middle of the show, I did think, however, that this is neither good nor bad, or suppose, in like episodes 3, 4, and 5, like in the middle, it comes a little bit vague as to when exactly Benedict is hallucinating something, or when something is actually happening. And I think they probably wanted it that way. It's pretty cool that you sometimes have to guess, like sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it's very obvious that he is hallucinating something, but sometimes it's a bit more open to interpretation. For example, okay, this is probably going to be another spoiler that doesn't change anything, but yeah, so in episode 3 or whatever, or 2 or whatever, he is, you know, Benedict is playing with his dog in his garden. Okay, whatever, he has a dog named Leo. Then in like episode 3, he's done after a long day at Parliament, and he walks outside like, and then the dog comes. He's like, ah, Leo, there you are. And I was like, wait, did he just leave the dog out in Austurvöllur for the whole day? Like, is that even allowed? Come on, no Prime Minister would just leave their dog unattended outside at Austurvöllur. That's so irresponsible. And then in the next episode, there's a scene where Benedict boards an airplane, not without his dog. Then he is somewhere around Akureyri, and all of a sudden his dog comes. And I was like, where the fuck did the dog come from? Did the scriptwriters just forget to write in that he has to take the dog with him on the plane? It would not have been that. What a fucking oversight. But then, as time went on, I realized, oh my god, he is imagining the dog. The dog isn't real, because he is the only one that interacts with the dog. Although, I have one question about that. There's this one scene when he enters Stjórnarráðið and has the dog with him, and like the doorman opens, and Benedict's like, Kom til Leo, and the doorman doesn't react. So, is he just talking to nobody and the doorman just doesn't notice, or is it also in his head that he talks to the dog? So yeah, that, like I think in every other scene where the dog is in, he is the only one, like he doesn't interact with the dog when there are other people around. So yeah, there was this one scene where it felt like it kind of crisscrossed, like it was kind of vague whether or not the dog was real or not. I think that could have been handled better. But yeah, I thought that was amazing, this realization all of a sudden, like, holy shit, there's no dog there, he's imagining him. And like in the seventh episode, there is a scene where he is driving around with his chauffeur, like the chauffeur is driving, and he's talking to an imaginary messianic figure in the back seat. And this is this part of the story where people start to realize that yes, he is crazy, and the driver is just like, what the fuck? Am I hearing this? Oh yeah. So those are my thoughts on Ráðherrann. Now, you might be wondering, is the show a realistic depiction of Icelandic politics? Like on the surface level, yes, absolutely. Like it looks like Icelandic politics look in real life, if you ask me. But it's still a dramatization, you know. So if if things like the ones in this show were to happen in real life, they would happen in a much more mundane, boring fashion, so to speak. But yeah. Anyway, this was a very different video than what I usually make on this channel, but then again, none of my videos are exactly the same, so I try to keep the scope of this channel as broad as possible. So I hope you like this video, and bara like og subscribe og vonandi sjáum við bara bráðlega.